All right. Welcome to episode 2, guys. We done made it through the first one. Now we on the second one. How y'all feel, man?
Hey, good.
Man. All right.
Powerful.
So we back on the Money podcast.
Right.
I'm Chris Fisher, aka Fish. I got my brothers and my partners. I got Chris Harris and Bethel Johnson with me. Y'all good over there?
Yes,
Good.
sir.
Doing
Yes,
good,
sir.
All right. So those that are listening right now, if you did not get a chance to watch our first one, go back to the first episode. We talked about who are you. That is a lot about branding and business, but we talked about it from 3 different levels. Who are you as an individual? Who are you as a business? And then who are you as related to the system and industry that you operate in? So I would definitely implore you to go back and listen to that episode because we're building off of that. And so that is now that I know who I am,
Right.
you know,
What's next?
It was a lot of nuggets in that one, though.
Right.
There was a lot of nuggets in that. Definitely a lot of nuggets.
So the thing is the what, right? So we start in that what area. We go from who to what needs to be defined. So one of the things that we've talked about a lot, as far as some things that need to be shifted in definition wise, is what is actually generational wealth. Right. We talk about that a lot. So I'm gonna kind of give it to my brothers to start off talking about that definition of what is truly or what do you see right now as being defined as generational wealth? I'll back it up to there. What do you see as now being defined as generational wealth, and what is it truly? Generational wealth. Bethel, you got a lot in that head over there.
Yeah,
It looks like it's going. I can see it.
This is the topic that I've been waiting on because it's a lot of misinformation out there as it pertains to generational wealth.
Right.
All right. We got a lot of hype men, a lot of hype women out there. People are having a conversation, but they don't have the right information.
Right.
When it comes to these conversations. So for me, what I'm hearing out there is the 6-figure way. Right. The 6-figure mindset that everybody is striving for and not realizing, like we talked in the last episode, I mentioned that money loses value every single year. Right. 3%.
Right.
That's the going rate right now. That's inflation.
Right.
The hidden tax that we don't ever talk about. But people get comfortable in that mindset of chasing 6-figure, thinking that they can pass that as a legacy on to their family and create generational wealth. But that is absolutely not generational wealth. So for us, I know for me, my definition of it is being able to pass on wealth in perpetuity, generation after generation after generation after generation. We all know about the Rothschilds. They've been in banking for over 300 years.
Right.
That is generational wealth.
Right. Harris, what you got, man? What you see?
Like we said earlier, I think there's a lot of misinformation or half truth, right?
Mm-hmm.
You see the glory, but you don't really know the story. We've been taught, to do the traditional way of doing things. Go to school, go to college, get a job. Most of us, have to get loans to go to school, and then you spend a significant amount of your time repaying the loan that really doesn't even cover the amount that you make. So that's
a trap in and of itself.
Right.
The trap.
Right. So, and these things are put out there for a reason because either you're the consumer or you're on the other side of the fold, right? And if you don't control any of it, then you're just a cog, right?
Right.
Generational wealth, right? We're not talking about, I have enough capital to sustain, my 3 children.
Mm-hmm.
Right. We're getting to the lineage, right?
Right.
We're getting to the point where, the family bank. We're getting to the core of why and how and what's next.
Yeah. So the biggest thing there, for me, I know that we have we talked about people giving out misinformation or whatnot. For some, I don't even think it's just about giving out misinformation. I think it's about what they've been exposed to at that time, and that's just all they know. Right. And so what happens is we're now, I feel like as a people, we're in a place to where we've been in this circle, and it's like, man, we see where we're at, and we see what the formula that was given to us in the past, and we see where it's led us to up until this point.
Right.
And so now I think we have a lot of people that are like, you know what, I think that this is not what it really is,
Mhm.
right? So I think it's very important for us, because we've been exposed to certain things, especially in the money world, that it's time to reset and say, okay, this is what generational wealth is. And I love what you said, Bethel, as far as saying that it's about things in perpetuity,
Right.
right? Here's why this is very important, and it's not even just about the money, right? The reason why it's important to have things in perpetuity, because it allows us to know our lineage and who we are, and it allows us to know our story.
Right. Right.
You can control the
You can preserve the story.
You
at
can
that point.
preserve your story at that point. Because it's so hard for me to trace down my lineage,
Mm.
it's hard for me to, and because we come from generations that were so closed mouth about, granddaddy had this, over here, and great granddaddy was this over here, and we had that family over there, and and it's hard to see where we actually come from.
Right.
I can't tell you who my great grandfather is, because I don't know that dude's name,
Right.
right? But I bet you if I had some money passed down to me, or
You know
something,
exactly who he is.
I know exactly who that dude would be, right?
Right.
So that's important to preserving our narrative. If we constantly want to be in a position to be able to preserve the narrative, our story, because our problem that we have is that too many times we're being told who we are,
Right.
and we don't know who we really are,
Right.
right?
It's all about design.
And it's all by design. So
All by
if
design.
I'm keeping you economically in a position to where you are not able to pass anything down, then over time I get to tell you exactly who you are.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why this conversation is so important to me, for us to get into the what is generational wealth. So let's kind of set this. Oh, go ahead, Beth.
It's more, when I say in perpetuity, it goes to what you were saying about lineage. Who's ever connected to that bloodline is wealthy.
Exactly.
Facts.
That's how you got to think about it. If somebody's connected to that bloodline,
Right.
they're wealthy.
Well, not rich.
Not rich, wealthy.
Wealth.
Right.
That means perpetuity. That's when you preserving the narrative of your family and lineage, because I have that blood running through my veins.
Right.
I'm well off too.
Transferable
I'm wealthy
asset.
too.
Right.
Transferable
Yeah,
wealth
transferable
all the way
asset.
down.
Right.
There you go.
Here's where the light bulb went off for me, when I knew that generational wealth was there was a real different ball game out there. I had a chance to watch this documentary some years ago called The 1%.
Right.
And if you can, I think you can catch it on YouTube. The whole thing is on
Yeah, I
YouTube,
think it's
or
on YouTube.
or whatnot. And they had a family meeting. One of the families that they were following
Right.
had a family meeting with their family office and the officers that work in there, and they had a chance to sit down, and they said, you know what, I got good news
Right.
and I got bad news.
Right.
Right? We know what we're about to do for the next 20 generations.
Right.
Right now, we don't know what to do for the next 20 generations behind
Wow.
after that. Right? And so for me, I'm like, whoa,
20 generations.
20 generations down the line.
Right.
Right.
We over here talking about, man, can I build something to pass down just to my kids?
To my kids and my grandkids.
Right.
That's as far as we talking about going.
That's as far, right? So we talking, it's a different mindset to say, you know what, we got things in place to go 20 generations down the line. We're talking hundreds of years back down the line, right?
Right.
So to me, in order to even get to that point, it requires having the right strategy. So what do you think is the right strategy to get to building generational wealth? What do you guys get to with that at that point?
Having the right information.
Yeah.
Okay.
To me, information makes the difference, right?
Mhm.
We talk about it all the time. There's a difference between education and information, right?
Right.
Education is for what? Indoctrination.
Indoctrination.
Right.
Yeah.
Information is for positioning, right?
Right.
So if you got the right information, it doesn't matter where you can start. Put it like this: if you got the same information that J.D. Rockefeller has, right? If you got the same information,
Mhm.
then you know exactly how to make the same moves that he made to get to
Right.
where he got,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So if you're not equipped with the right information and you listen to a lot of misinformation, then it's going to be, that part right makes it a little difficult.
Right. So I would say, piggybacking on that, what does your circle of influence look like?
Right.
Mhm.
That's going
Right.
to tell you a lot.
Yeah,
That tells you a lot.
because those families and institutions, they have such a strong circle of influence.
Mm-hmm.
Each person or each entity understands their value. When you understand your value, you're not afraid to partner. Right. So I think in order for us as a community and the people to get to that generational wealth, we have to stop being afraid to
Cooperate.
cooperate, right? And that's not only a physical thing, it's a mental hurdle as well, I believe, because we've been conditioned to grab and hold and not, we want to be the only one, but we really don't want to be the only one once we get on the other side. Because I can tell you, success is isolating.
Right.
Right. And the more people you have that are in a position to be independently successful, the more successful the body will be.
Right.
It's kind of like, we say all the time, it's the Voltron model. Right?
Voltron model.
Each lion was a king in his own right.
Right.
Right. But it's something to be said about when they come together to defend this universe.
Yeah.
Right? And we as a people in the community have to get past wanting to be the only, right?
That's the issue.
Yeah.
That's the issue.
So we now that we kind of talked about that, I got a couple things for y'all. It's time to start really dropping some things that's gonna hit folks that like, man, okay. So one thing as far as we get into the what, you brought up a name, Rockefeller, right? And you talk about information, right? One of the statements that they said, I think it was John Rockefeller. I can't remember if it was John or one of them, but John Rockefeller, if you look it up, he made a statement that was about strategy that goes alongside of generational wealth. And this is the strategy that we just don't understand.
Oh yeah. I know where you're going with it.
But we don't get into, right?
Because there's no pride in it out the gate.
There's no pride out the gate.
Yeah.
That strategy is own nothing, control everything.
Right.
Yeah.
The one strategy.
Yes.
Right?
Excuse my cigar smoke.
Excuse my
Yes.
cigar smoke. So too many times we talking about we need to own everything.
Nah.
But when one of the wealthiest people
Right.
in the world
Give you the blueprint.
give you the blueprint and says own nothing but control everything, ooh, that took a little digging to get into.
Right. But like you said, the pride, right, in that, right,
Right.
this is mine. I birthed it. I want to be the one. Yeah, okay. Well,
That ideology in and of itself is antiquated.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
I agree.
So if I said ownership is overrated, how many people that are actually listening or watching or whatnot will really know that, man, oh wait, no, man, Fish, come on. We actually got we behind as a people. We need to own stuff. We need to own it.
We need to control.
Control it.
There's a difference.
The
So-
power is in the control.
Right. So if we need to control our narrative.
Absolutely.
We need to control our resources.
Right.
And there's a different set of power. There's a different set of rules when it comes to controlling versus just owning. And understand this. When we talk about if I own it, if everything's in my name as owning it, that means I have a different tax representation that comes to me because I am taxed that way, right? Just earlier today, I was watching on the news this morning. They were talking about how some of the wealthiest people in the world are not paying, much of a tax rate, right? Right. Well, why is that?
Exactly.
Why is that?
You said that. You watching it earlier. I watched years ago. Warren Buffett on TV.
Yeah, and they brought up his name again
On
this
TV.
morning.
Right.
Tell us on TV.
On TV, told us.
He said,
Listen.
He said, it's a shame
It's a shame.
that I pay less in taxes than my secretary.
Right.
Listen.
But he never said what he did to
Listen.
do it.
Never said. Didn't tell you what to do.
Listen, Donald J. Trump said the most American thing you can do.
Is not
It's
pay
not
taxes.
pay taxes.
Right. So the visceral reaction is like, wow, how could this individual that has amassed all this says that? Then you get on the other side of life and you understand, like, wow.
But I understand exactly why he said that.
No.
too.
Right. But
There's another spirit to it. Because
There
he
is
understand it on
another
a
spirit.
different. No. I hear what you're saying.
But it's a paradigm shift.
Right. But I'm saying what he was saying too, it's twofold.
Of course.
When he said it's the most American thing you do, because who created the system? They were not from America that created that system.
Right.
He said the most American thing you can do
Right.
is not pay taxes.
So think about it. No representation without what?
Taxation.
So the mother, this nation is just
A child.
It's a child. It's a baby.
right. So there are so many different qualifying factors in that statement. For this conversation, I say that to say this is someone who, quote unquote, sits at the top of the pyramid.
Yep.
And is publicly saying
Mm-hmm.
you should also not
Not pay
paying
taxes.
Right. Right.
Keep your wealth.
Right.
You earned it all. You work for it.
I'm just going to ask a question, for folks to just even think about, right? Just think about this. When's the last time that you actually paid taxes and saw it really help your direct community?
That's a good question.
I'll wait.
Reagan passed a law. Back in, I think, 94 or something, or 90 somewhere in there. When he said that he was talking about the paying of taxes, income tax, doesn't go towards anything.
It does not go towards it.
It doesn't go towards anything.
No.
So he let it know, like, it doesn't go towards anything. We're letting you know that this doesn't.
And that
go
was in
towards anything.
1984 when he did
First
that.
off,
84
first
yeah.
off, because it's the business model.
Yeah,
See,
Right.
a lot of people don't even understand this is a business.
Right.
this whole every state is its own independent.
Well, we're gonna go a little deep on them.
Every state is its own. This is why people don't understand how Texas can say, well, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do
Right.
that.
The
Each
sovereignty.
state can say, I can do this, I can do that, because each state is
It's
a
his own
business.
business, right?
Its own business.
His own business. But now, the reason why we're bringing this up is just from a strategy standpoint.
Right.
You just got to know the information.
Right.
Don't just go off of just what you seen somebody on Instagram or YouTube that just passed something along to you, right? It sounded good, right? But at the end of the day,
Do your own research.
you got to do your own research.
You have to.
So knowing what to do in that scenario when it comes to building your generational wealth, part of it is just having the right strategy.
They're structurally sound.
Structurally sound.
Right.
Because by knowing who you are, which we talked about in the earlier episode,
Right.
now we're gonna get into what I'm supposed to do, but I can't get there of building my strategy without having the right type of information. Right. And the right type of strategy with it. So I mean my biggest thing for you guys is this. Why do we continue on the paths that we do as a people within inside of our businesses? Why do we continue on these same perpetual paths when it comes to our generational cycles and money?
It's learned behavior.
That's all it is.
Right. Creature, So if it's been instilled in you from day one, there are 3 paths in life. Choose 3. Out of the 3, make a decision, right? There's a good book, right? The Jewish Phenomenon. In the Jewish community, based on this book, they set up endowments.
Right.
They believe that the community can only have X amount of anything. So if I have a child, I'm in that community, and we need a dentist, everyone in that community funnels everything into that child to push them towards that light, right?
Mhm.
And then we can get into the back end how they don't go to the bank because they go to their bank.
Right.
So, okay, we need a dentist. Now, okay, that corner, there's some available. We purchased that. The community purchased that. And now that facility is community owned, right? And a portion of that goes back to it. So knowing all these things from the outside is like, okay, if Buffett is saying this, if Reagan is saying this, if Trump said this, and these are people that have amassed amount of wealth, there has to be something in it.
Right.
So with unpacking and doing research, you see that, wow, there is another side that we are not being exposed to by design.
Right. We follow the noise.
Right. So what is
follow the noise?
What is the narrative that needs to change then? Because if we're going down these perpetual paths and learned behavior, we've learned some things. What is the narrative that needs to change, or the formula that needs to change within inside of our community with these different things that we see?
I would say, to the point you were talking about with the Jewish community, what's the spirit of that?
Cooperative economics.
Right. So they practice cooperative economics, which leads to group economics.
Right.
Right. So for us, I think we got to get into the practice of cooperation with one another. Right. Because
I agree.
Fish, you say all the time, when we doing these deals and we sitting with people and we got agents that want to, come on board, and they can look at it in one way and say, well, man, you can count my pockets and say, man, I want what you got. Or you can say, hey, I'm going to, when you try to do that, it's like, well, I'm going to swallow the whole watermelon, right? And you always talk about, you rather have the whole grape or a slice of a watermelon, right?
Choose.
You choose that. So when you choose to have a slice of a watermelon, that's saying this is cooperation.
Right.
Because you getting paid, you're going to be well off, period.
Right.
If you choose that path. But if you choose this grape here, right? You gonna eat one time.
Right.
Or you get one bite out. I ain't never seen people take 2 bites off a grape.
You
You know what I'm saying? unless you one of those I don't want to say one of those pretentious people.
right.
I'm gonna eat the grape. I'm gonna take 2 bites, right? But with a watermelon, right? Because that slice can be big or it can be small,
Right.
all right? But it's still a slice,
It's still a slice.
and you can get multiple bites off.
Right. But here's the other part that when we talk about scaling. So now we go from the slice of a watermelon. Part of the reason why you only really want a slice of a watermelon is because if you try to take the whole watermelon, that means you got the whole risk as well.
Right. Absolutely.
So a lot of times
I've
we
never seen anybody eat the whole watermelon.
right, exactly. Yeah.
I mean the big ones that we
Big
used to
ones?
have back in the day.
Yeah, nobody likes eating
I've
the whole
never
one.
seen them eat the whole thing.
What happens historically is it goes bad.
Yeah, it does.
It does.
So greed, right?
Greed.
and pride, right?
There you go.
Greed and pride.
Those
Greed and
things you can
pride.
drop.
Now the strategy should be not that I have a whole watermelon. You should have a slice of a watermelon.
Multiple slices.
And multiple slices.
Yeah.
Now I'm
Of
sharing
different
the risk
watermelons.
of different
Right.
watermelons across the board.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm got different patches, different watermelon slices, and I'm sharing my risk across the board. And that's the strategy that we look at. What Uber does, that what Amazon does, with Airbnb.
Yep.
Yeah.
All they doing is taking a small slice of a watermelon, but guess what? They created a platform in the marketplace to where if you are putting your house up there, yeah, you're getting most of the money off of it, then based upon the model.
Yeah.
But you're
They
not
get
the
a
only
slice too.
person.
No.
I'm getting a slice too.
Because you know what? They control the supply chain. They understand that, hey, I may take a small portion right now, but the long haul, if I replicate that 1,000,000 trillion times, I am being extremely successful.
Absolutely.
Right.
And it goes to your point, right? You spreading that risk out across the board.
Across the
right?
board.
You're not just trying to eat the whole thing. You spreading that across.
Right. Or not. Or I'm just shifting the risk, right? Because now if I put my banker hat on,
Come on.
right? What I really want to do is shift, because when it comes to money, it's really about managing risk, right? That's what is. You really want to manage the risk inside of the deal, right? But if I'm sitting in the banker position, I'm going to construct the deal in a way to where I don't have any risk, but there's still a lot of reward.
Right.
Right. So what these large companies do and how they construct their strategies is they will say, you know what, you put your house up, right? Or you put, now the big game right now is Turo. That's hot.
Yeah, it's
right.
hot.
So you put your car up. Guess what? You got to go out, put your credit on the line.
Right.
You got to put your car out there.
Yep.
I'm going to provide you the platform,
Right.
but you're taking the risk.
Yep.
And guess what? You got to make sure that you have the insurance, and you got to make sure that these payments are getting made, and then you got to make sure that you're going out getting the car.
So the liability is still really on you.
the liability is still
Yep.
on you.
Right.
But guess what? It's not on me. I just control the platform.
That's it.
So let me just speak on that, just on the banking standpoint. How many people are aware that the payroll for these large banks, financial institutions, is coming solely from the fees, the monthly fees? So like it's a line item
Right.
on the P&L, right? And you on the back end, you don't realize your money is being utilized to make money, right?
Absolutely.
That's the name of the game,
the
right?
money is in the money.
Yeah, the money is in the money. Understanding that will kind of open your eyes to some other strategies that can be applied.
Another strategy we got to think about, and I tell this, I taught this to my son, and it's not a hard thing to understand, right? There's only two ways in the world to make money: either you working for it or it working for you.
Right.
Facts.
That's it.
That's it.
That is it.
You know what I'm saying? When you understand that, then you understand what game am I in? Am I the one going out, spending my energy going out to make money when I got to rest, right? Money works 24/7, 365. It don't take no days off. It don't need no vacation,
Right.
Right.
right? So we working backwards. You know what I mean?
Working
Because
backwards.
we're hustling to go get these 6-figure jobs.
Uh-huh.
We're working for the 6 figures instead of saying, wait a minute. If I take this much money right here and let this go run, it's gonna make me more.
Right.
Now, let's even go back to, you just said 6-figure jobs, but we need to also understand we're not just talking about clocking in 9 to 5 6-figure jobs.
No.
Some of us are creating our own 6-figure jobs and don't even know that we can't get out of that, right?
Right.
So one resource that I would tell people all the time to go look at, if you have not read Rich Dad Poor Dad, it's definitely a good book,
It's a good read.
a good starter read to understand how some things work. It's a layer, right? I'll leave it at that. There's still some layers that are not impactful, but are impacted, but that book starts well, but telling you the 4 quadrants of where you're at, right? You got your employee quadrant, then you got your self-employed, you got your business owner, and then you got your investor, right?
Right.
But there's still one layer that he doesn't put in there that is in the middle of that entire whole thing, which
Right.
we know about, which is the banker
Right.
Right.
that controls the entire board,
Yep.
right? But still, that knowing what some people end up doing is they'll create these 6-figure jobs and they still cannot walk away from it. I saw this growing up all the time because again, shout out to my mother Gigi, right? So my mother, who has been one of the most impactful persons in business that I got to learn from hands-on early on, I saw that the harder she worked, it didn't mean that even though she was on her own, she had the ability to just walk away.
Oh, no.
Right? I seen her in corporate America, and I seen her leave corporate America to go start her own thing.
Right.
And I quickly realized, like, dang, man, you out here working harder than you were over here.
Yeah.
But yet you still can't even take any kind of vacations.
No.
Right? So that becomes another scenario as to where you place yourself, because you end up getting into this cycle of working for the money and not having the money
Work for you.
right? And so that's one of the things that we got to get into the mindset of understanding, that we have to make that shift. How do I get there to position myself from moving from working for the money to now working it's working for me? That's the biggest thing that I think a lot of people probably want to get to and understand.
You when you mentioned that about Mama Fish, it just came to me by my experience as a personal trainer, right? Now, as a personal trainer, you can't take days off,
Right.
because you only make money when you train.
Right.
So at one point, I was working for a club. I'm not going to give them any light. I'm not going to give them any light. But I was working at a club. Put it like this: it's a high-end, expensive club.
Okay.
Very, a lot of pretentious people.
Okay.
A lot of rich people there.
You seem to be around them a lot. I don't know.
I
Say birds of a
I hang
feather,
around
but I
them.
don't know.
I'm just saying.
And so, rich people need to get in shape too. So when I was there, I started watching the system they had set up. I was like, man, because one thing about me, if I take a job, you can rest assured I'm there. I already have an exit strategy. I never enter into any job without an exit strategy.
Man.
I'd never do that. I have a plan going in. I know how long I want to be here. I know what I need to accomplish and what I need to get out of here.
Right.
And so while I was working there, mind you, at the level I was on, to train with me is going to cost you $120 to train with me. I was making only $30 of that. The rest of it was going to the club. So I'm sitting back like, man, wait a minute.
Hustling back.
The club is making all this money off of me, and I'm only getting this little portion right here. So what I did was I ended up, even then, I was still making money, not even at work. Then I left that club and started training those people outside the club.
Right.
Now they paying me $150. You know what I'm saying?
Keeping all.
They pay me $150 an hour, but I had to work for it every single day. No days off. If my family and I want to go on a vacation, I'm going to miss that money.
Listen, my fresh out of college, I started a cousin of mine. We opened up a spot called Blessed Hands in Lancaster, Texas. Shout out to Lancaster, Texas. And I went to school to be a sports therapist. And they was like, take the business to North Dallas. I was like, nah, I want to bring it to my community, right? Historically, we take care of our vehicles, but we don't take care of our bodies.
Right.
So I wanted to bring the holistic approach there. So we got together, it worked out. And I was super excited. And one of my business mentors, he said, Harris, can you take off and still make money? And I really never thought about it like that. Like, I was still working a corporate job, right? Financing my entrepreneur spirit.
Right.
But I could not work the entrepreneur spirit because I have to cover the financing of the actual business. And I was actually upset with him, you know,
To
because
expose you to the truth.
I felt offended. I felt offended, like he was diminishing, my vision, but in reality, he was ripping off the Band-Aid.
Yeah.
Right. He was growing me professionally. He said, Harris, if you can't take off and still make money, then you just have another job.
And that's the question that we should pose
Mhm.
to people. Can you take off from your business and it still make money? If your
Yeah.
business cannot make money with you gone,
Right.
then you don't have a business.
And that
you have a job.
directly pulls back into the generational wealth question.
Absolutely.
It
Right,
does. It
right.
does. So I think one of the things that, because what's hot right now, we keep talking about finances and stuff like that, and one of those hot topics or hot button spots is closing the gap on the on the wealth gap and things
Right.
of that nature. But I think one of the biggest problems that we have is that we don't have the right strategy.
Right.
So one of the strategies that I think that we also miss out on this, and this is a key nugget, and for some people this is going to hit hard, and some people, it's going to rub the wrong way.
Excuse my cigar
Excuse
smoke.
my cigar
Hey, there's
smoke.
a saying: the truth will set you free.
Come on now.
but it's gonna piss you off
It's
first.
gonna piss you off first,
Fact.
right?
So piss you off first.
Here it is. Starting a business from scratch,
Is what?
overrated.
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 Right.
Right? If we really want to level up and
Mhm.
close the gap, the game is all about an acquisition.
Acquisition
That's
is
it.
where it's at.
That's it. Now,
Acquisition.
Now the question going to be, how do we get into acquisition?
Right.
Yeah.
Right? You know what I'm saying? That's going to be the next question. is
Right.
that-
How do you get there? Well, there's
There's
okay,
multiple ways.
There's multiple ways to get into acquisitions. First of all, there's something called a business broker, just like a real estate broker.
Right.
You can find a business broker. We are connected to some business brokers, and eventually, we should probably bring one or two on for as a guest.
Right.
To
we might
talk
need to
about
bring
that.
him on.
Yeah, we might open it up to him. Our dude, that's connected to us that helps with deal flow.
Yeah.
But there are, until you don't know that there's so many deals that are happening. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Until you actually get into the deal flow.
Yeah.
And once you get into it, it's just like, man, there's deals everywhere.
it's tremendous.
You can just trip and fall and there's a deal somewhere, right? But we are constantly looking to start from scratch, and that's not the right strategy to have, because we talk about, okay, how can I get access to funding my business and funding what I want to do?
Right.
Well, part of the problem is that if you're starting from scratch, that is the riskiest
Right.
part of putting your money when it comes to investing. And I said it earlier, what I said at the beginning, right? Part of my banker hat is, if I'm going to get into this, is I got to manage risk.
Right.
So if I'm going to manage my risk, and you're sitting over here where most businesses are failing
The bank is
to
not
try
going
to
to
start,
lose.
I am not going to put my money over there. So therefore, I have no longer access to that type of capital.
Right.
That's not where it is. Where it is acquisition of different things, or different business entities and assets to grow.
So why is acquisition so important?
Well, it's important because you're buying cash flow.
Absolutely.
Come on.
You're buying cash flow because
unpack
again, it's not so much about the business.
Nope.
It's about the bank.
About the bank.
It's about the bank.
The
What you're-
asset.
The asset itself, because you have a cash flowing entity, and it has systems already in place, and all it needs, there's people that are leaving their businesses all the time that want to sell, exit out, move on to the next. There's kids don't want it, or I just got another something. I just want to move on to my
Right.
next thing, right? So you're buying the system that's already in place, because systems matter. And then all you have to do in order to scale, you have to have a system.
Right.
And because if I put $1 in and it spits out $3, well, guess what? What happens when I put $100 in?
Exactly.
It's going to push out $300.
Right.
That's scale.
So let's speak on that. So the first question was about generational wealth. Then the second question posed is, how do I get to the acquisition circle or phase? The quickest way is to partner.
That's it.
Partner.
It
Right.
takes. Listen, what y'all are watching, people are watching. This is straight cooperation here, right?
Straight.
Straight cooperation. And understand this: we each of us were strong in our own right. Right. We came together like Voltron. Now, would you say the success of what we've done went up or went down with us cooperating?
Listen,
I don't even think you quantify that.
You can't even quantify it.
You can't. you might say that 10x thing, but it's way past a 10x.
Way past. Way past.
Because it's such a layered response. So knowing who you are personally and professionally, and having the right people around you makes all the difference. I say this all the time: the most valuable asset is relationships.
Right.
Relationships, absolutely.
Right. So think about that individual. You can be transparent. Think about yourself. Some of the things that have come across your plate, it wasn't because you were the best or the brightest.
Mm-hmm.
It's because who you were associated with.
Right.
Now execution is going to be on you, right? And that's being self-aware. But to even be around and be in the circle and being at the table, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
So knowing those things, you can leverage that and position yourself and work with a group or an individual to go out and take down, an entity or an asset to position yourself.
Right. Think about that.
Go ahead.
Think about it. We talk about cooperation all the time because understand there's a spirit to that.
Mm-hmm.
I talk about it all the time. Like when you look at every community, the spirit to keep them doing things together is cooperation.
Right.
Like that's the ingredient that we have to have in our community is cooperation. I don't care. There's no ego in this for me.
No.
Right. Because the end game that I'm thinking about, it has nothing to do with me.
Right.
Has nothing to do with
me. But that's because what we're doing is bigger than ourselves.
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah. It's bigger than one individual that's up here. Right. And so we're aligned on the same vibration of knowing that that's the energy that we're moving towards. Mm-hmm. We have the shared common goal that we are looking at building something that's bigger than us. Now, one of the things I wanted to touch on that you said that I experienced personally on a regular is how relationships is a high currency, right?
Oh, yeah.
Right. So I got to experience that on a regular, just in the Dallas area, being Gigi's son. My mother,
Mama Fish.
Mama Fish was popular out there, right? Like she
a good woman.
Yeah, she knows how to talk to everybody. Never met a stranger, right? And so I get my talkative ways.
You want to blame Gigi now? Okay.
Oh yeah, it's her fault.
Okay.
It's her fault.
Just say outgoing, bro. Just say outgoing.
I'm outgoing.
Key money, middle note.
Oh my goodness! Don't do that. But I get it from subconsciously watching how she worked,
right.
And there's been times when I was able to get jobs,
right,
or meet
off of the strength,
got an internship, or just because I knew or they knew who she was, right? There even now to this, it's still happening to this day.
Truth bomb, they knew who she was because she knew who she was.
Right, right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. Now here's the kicker, right? And that was on a smaller scale. I remember walking into a meeting for a very large deal that we're working on, and we're working on bringing in some guys that wanted to be a part of our capital stack to be a part of our equity partners for this thing. And we walked into the meeting, and before we got into anything talking about the deal, the very first thing they asked me was, "Who are your people?"
That's important.
Yeah.
Who are your people?
That's important.
Who? What family did our families do business together? This is on the high end. These are high end folks.
Listen.
Right.
Did our families do business together?
Wealthy.
Listen.
Because if our families did business together in the past, or we have some kind of ties, this deal is done. It's just a matter of just getting to the details of
that's the game.
That's part of the game.
That's part of the game.
It's part of it.
If I don't know somebody,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? If I don't know nobody, if we don't know somebody together,
Right. It's a pause.
we're not doing this business deal.
It's a pause.
Yeah. Because can I trust that you're gonna be able to do what you say that you can do?
Yeah.
So by me walking in and saying, "Oh, okay, well, it's quite interesting," because it's interesting because one of our other partners who's not on here, he was sitting there at the table and he said, "Well, our families might have crossed paths because we have family ties in Fort Worth, but to be honest with you, we know how far back we go, but my family wouldn't be able to do certain things, to be able to be doing business together back at that time. My grandfather was not in that position to do that.
Indentured servant.
Right.
Yeah.
We was in different positions.
Right.
But at the end of the day,
it goes to show the mindset, though.
Right. That was the mindset. And it still is the mindset.
Right.
Because it had nothing to do with what we could provide at that time. It all had
And
everything to do with
relationship.
the relationship and who we knew.
That's it.
And that was the another just like light bulb. And it's just woo. I did not think that this was how it's happening on this scale, but
That's how they play.
it's still played like
That's
that.
how they play.
we
That's how
gonna
they play.
take care of our people. Stay on
Absolutely.
code inside our group.
And let's be clear, we don't have a problem with that because we're gonna do the same.
Same exact thing. I have no problem with it.
Yeah, no.
Let's be clear. Let's be clear
At
about that. Like
all.
we believe in taking care of each other, which is why the only way we can get to wherever we're trying to go, right? It's different for each individual, right? Once again, going back to the first podcast, you have to know who you are to
Right.
kind of identify that. You know, we're beyond building the plane in the air. We have structures and processes in place to almost guarantee without guarantee your success if we all work together because we have everything we need.
Right,
Mhm,
right.
mhm.
Now, here's the thing that we got to get into, and Bethel, I want you to answer this one for me. As far as when it comes to, I'm gonna reach back to the one strategy, right? Because we talked about it a little bit high level as far as own nothing, control everything.
Right.
What does that really look like? You know, in business, what does own nothing, control everything really look like?
Do you want to give it from? Do you want to go way back, or do you want to go something closer?
Now,
Let's
go way back so he can add some.
Because if you think about it, I give you Rockefeller
Right.
to this day controls how we do math
Wow.
from the grave
Yeah.
to this very day
To this
Right.
very day.
with the General Education Board.
Right.
They started that.
Yes.
The AMA, which is American Medical Association,
Right.
they started that.
Right.
That's their thing,
Right.
right? That is still being controlled to this very day.
And what is that structure that's allowing him to be able to do that?
Do we want to put that on the air? Put it like this: money goes a long way.
Money goes a long way.
Money goes a long way.
Right.
And
right.
you put people in. What he was doing was strategically putting people in position so that he can't have the control
right.
from the boardrooms to the front office, whatever. He put people strategically in place with his money to control those things, right? So for us, you know, you got to think like that is far back. Let's come up to date a little bit, right?
Right.
I'm just giving high level. Warren Buffett, right? Does he own Coca-Cola? He got the majority shares. He does, right? He owns does he own Geico? Absolutely, right? But he controls it completely hands off.
Right.
He controls it hands off.
Right.
All the entities that he's a part of, he controls it hands off. He gets it. He buys the majority shares of stock.
Right.
He gets in the position of
He's on the board.
the owner, like the owner,
Yeah.
air quote position, but he's controlling it all.
Mm-hmm.
He controls it all. Now, if you want to give him the entity, you want to give him the tool, you can give him the tool. Well, I'm just speaking on the high level of it.
I'll keep it still high level because it can. What I will say when implementing the one strategy, there's a lot of ways to go about doing it.
Mm-hmm.
But I need us to start thinking about what are trust, right? You know.
See, I didn't want to dive into because
We're
that was going to lead
no,
down
listen,
a whole
listen.
different.
We're gonna give them some homework, right?
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. In that,
We'll do
in
it. We'll do it
yeah.
that way.
In that spirit,
right?
yes.
In the spirit of giving you homework, just figure out what are trust.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So-
how are they utilized?
Do you want me to get a story about Geico?
Let me tell you how important that is, right? So there's a very rich man that just recently went through a divorce.
Mm-hmm.
It ain't over.
Well,
No. I know which story he talking about.
Which one?
Go ahead. Keep going. Keep going, Harris.
So this wealthy individual, his wife didn't go get a divorce
He
attorney.
went and got a trust lawyer. She went and got a trust lawyer. She did.
Because she understands where the game is being played.
Absolutely.
Right.
That's what the control is.
That's where the control
Okay,
is.
fine. Okay, Chris, you waited out. The control. It's where the control comes from.
Right.
So he's able to do these things through the
Yeah.
utilizing
Now, the
trust.
biggest thing is a trust is nothing but another tool.
Right.
But you have it's just one of the pieces to the puzzle. So what I would tell everybody that's watching or listening or however you're consuming this content is take time to really figure out what is a trust, how is it used by the wealthy,
Mhm.
and is that the only tool that they're using as a part of their strategy?
Nah, just
right?
part of it.
It's just part of it, right? So, but you spoil a little bit of part of their homework. But go do some research on what are all the different tools that they're utilizing to piece it together to build their generational wealth.
What type of trust are they using?
What type of trust?
See, they ain't
That makes a
Now,
difference.
That makes a difference.
Yeah.
What type of trust are they using to manage and control
Right.
their wealth?
Right. What is the difference between a trust and an LLC?
Ooh.
Right?
Yeah.
Understand the difference. Can a trust own an LLC?
Actually, let's just throw it there.
Mhm.
That's the homework.
That's the homework.
That's the homework.
What's the difference? So I need people to go out, take time, look up this type of information.
Do your diligence.
Comment in the comments.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Comments. We
Yeah.
want to hear what are y'all finding out there, because there's different things that people are doing. You when it comes to own nothing, control everything. Understand this. You when it comes to especially when it comes to any of us, but when with the real wealthy, you can't Google how much they really are worth.
Absolutely not. Like people to
No.
this day think Warren Buffett only worth what 96
Yeah.
million or something like that.
Whatever.
96 billion or whatever.
Yeah.
He's way way more than that.
Right.
Why? We know why.
Right.
It looks that way, but you got to do your homework now.
You got to do your homework now, and just think about this, right? I need folks to think about this. Because we say the real wealth, the real control, you can't Google how much they're worth. Think about this. You can't say that the richest person in the world is Bezos or whoever it is. That's
Not
100 something
even
billion.
close.
It's not even close, right?
Not even close.
So think about. You can't tell me that a guy who accumulated his wealth in his lifetime of 40 years, and you understand the power of compound
interest
and money, and you have families that have been in control for hundreds of years, and you're telling me that he's the richest person in the world?
Listen, man. Listen. If any one of these families woke up with his net worth, somebody got to die.
I'm saying
Somebody got to go because I'm like, wait a minute. We broke.
We lost.
We broke now.
We broke.
That's what they gonna say. We broke now.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because
You telling me that there's families that you have all kinds of affluent royalty type families
Right.
that have been in power for hundreds of generations, and you're telling me that they don't have the same amount? Why? Because you cannot look up
can't look them up.
how much they really are worth.
Can't
So
look 'em up.
that's my man Lil Wayne said real G's move in silence.
Yeah.
like lasagna and that. Listen,
So
you
and
can't.
And I just want to throw some
Can't
sauce
go.
on top of that. That's why the massacre that happened in Tulsa was more about killing generational wealth.
Right.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Right. So like knowing, don't follow the smoke.
Mm-mm.
Don't.
Don't follow the smoke.
Because that's not what the game is.
Right.
That's not what the
Right,
game is. I tell the people, don't stop following the noise.
Right.
Because where they're speaking and they making the most noise, that's not where the game is actually being played.
No.
It's not. That's where they want you to go. Yeah, all that pep rally noise over there, go over there. Because if I got you over there, because that's where I want you, because that enriches me. If you're over there in that noise, because you can't see what I'm doing back here, right? You can't see the game that's really being played because you don't even know the focus that way. Because you over here worrying about, wealth conferences.
I was speaking to a couple of my mentees, and we were having a conversation about legalese and torts, right? Like, it's things that are put on our books today that were constructed hundreds of years ago.
Right.
We were having a conversation about how a lot of the black farmers lost their land based on technicalities, which is, legalese. If you didn't do this by this time, the HOA game, right?
Right.
So you have to be educated and you have to be equipped, right, with the right circle and the right tools to avoid the pitfalls. And if you don't, you will fall prey to the noise.
Absolutely.
And then it's a rope-a-dope. You get tired, right? You generations, and then you know what you look at, and the best thing to happen is someone graduate from college, which is awesome and great. Or the best thing that happened was they have a rental property.
Right.
Or the best thing that happened was, it's 5 years I've had my business, right?
Well, what is your EBITDA? What does that look like?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
5 years of a business.
Right.
What is your paperwork look like?
Because we know technically you're not even a business until that point.
Right.
You're not even recognized as a real entity.
Right.
But it's knowing those things, right? Having a conversation with a couple people about how in our community you see the payday loans and you see maybe the salons and these things. And I was explaining to him, well, a lot of times the government in the city works with those institutions and provides them free taxes,
Right.
which we know that's just giving you revenue.
Right.
Right. So knowing the rules of how to play the game is going to change everything for us.
That's the key. I mean, because
Right.
you prime example of noise, right? What I mean by noise, how many of us got a 401k?
None of us.
Well, I still have my NFL 401k.
Well, yeah.
right?
Well,
that's
yes.
that's the only one.
Yeah.
Because I can't touch it.
You can't do
I got
nothing
the,
with
self,
that.
the self-funded.
Right. See, you know what I'm saying?
The entrepreneur. but guess what? Knowing the game, be like, wait a minute.
Right.
Wait a minute.
Wait
if
a
you knew the real rules of a 401k,
Yes.
Come on.
you would know that yes, it is another tool in the financial belt, but is it the right strategy
Right.
that you should be utilizing?
Right.
And I would ask, please find me somebody that utilized a 401k and actually was able to retire okay with it.
And listen, I haven't even as much as I have with my NFL stuff, it doesn't you can't really do nothing with it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because it's tied to the market for one. Right.
Right.
It goes up and down. I have no control over it.
Right.
Only thing I have control over is how I shuffle, how I allocate,
Right.
my investments, right? So that's the only thing I can do. As far as participating with anything or moving, I can't do anything with it, right? So to me, I don't even count it as anything for me, right? But you think about a 401k. When was they started, right?
Come
In
on.
1978.
Come on. Why?
Because there's a loophole. The dude found a loophole in the system, in the IRS system, because back in 78, what were the taxes? 80%.
Right.
Mhm.
So that would say, well, we're going to defer these taxes of 80% to later.
Right.
Now we at 25%.
Mhm.
That, what's the highest tax rate right now? Depending on what you have it in. The highest tax rate right now, what, 36,
I
37?
was finna say,
Right.
depending on your tax bracket, you're looking at
Right.
36, 37.
Right.
Right.
So why are we still deferring? When you naturally at 25, most
Right.
people at 25%. What are we deferring?
Yeah.
You gonna get hit on the back end.
You're gonna-
they
gonna
waiting
get
on you on the
more.
back
They're
end.
waiting. They'll be patient. They'll wait.
Now watch this. We try to pull your money out of 401k.
I was just
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be a first of all, it's your money.
Mm-hmm.
Now I gotta go ask them, can I get my money?
Mm-hmm.
It's my money. But this is the noise. When you get a job, sign up for your 401k. That's the noise.
We'll match you.
Right. That's the noise. And I understand that that's the traditional way of thinking.
right.
But I worked at one of the largest 401k companies in the United States. And when I sat back there and I saw, I was like, wait a minute.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
This is a
Highway robbery.
this is a scam. This is a scam. I was like, why are we doing this? And I never contributed to that 401k
Right.
because I was like, man, I know it's a game. I know it's a game. Because I already had a bad taste in my mouth from the NFL. But when I got there, I wanted to see why they were the best, why everybody, and there's so much noise surrounding just that particular subject. People think they're going to retire and live out with their 401k. I'm telling you, good luck.
Good luck.
Good luck. It's a tool, but it's not if it's not utilized correctly, then you can't really do nothing with it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Because it's too much that goes and try to say you want to go get some money, you know what I'm saying, to COVID. Let's look at COVID. I'm going to go pull, I need all my money. It's going to cost you 10%.
Mm-hmm.
They'll charge you 10% to pull your own money out.
Right.
And, they go, and on top of the 25 that you
Guess
already
what?
getting taxed at.
Yeah.
Right.
If you smart, you should go ahead and put it up top.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
if not, it's really gonna eat you alive.
It's going to eat you.
Right.
Trust me.
So that's why that's what I mean by just noise. That's general noise that we listen to, that we're thinking that we're heading towards. Well, we're heading towards a happy retirement. You're not, because
So
that's not real.
So
It's
those
just
are
noise.
contraindicators. Those things are what will stop us from getting to that generational wealth. You have to have that paradigm shift,
Right.
and change. Your overview of the way you looked at the traditional way is a way, but it is not the only way.
Right.
Right.
That's the key.
So I think for me, last things that I will put out there when it comes to all of this is you got to have the right type of strategy in order to get there. Too many times we are too willing to hop on board because that is what everybody else is doing, and we're being too lazy,
The social norm.
to figure out, like, is this the right strategy for me, right? And too long we've had the wrong formula, and we're seeing the residuals of that right now in our community.
Absolutely.
That formula was go to school, get good grades, go to college so you can get out, right? And get out of our community. Our
Mhm.
problem is, and especially when it comes to, and we'll dive deeper into some of these other topics. Our problem, especially when it comes to fighting generational wealth, the reason why we don't have or hold on to our communities and we can't hold on to it is because we've lived and died by that formula.
Mm-hmm.
We went to school, we went and got good grades, and we went and got out. And because we have scattered about,
Got us a nice job though.
we got us a nice job. We living in a nice house in a nice little neighborhood, right?
Right.
We've all subscribed to that, right?
Yeah.
To that formula, right?
Right.
And so now we haven't had any key stakeholders to say, you know what, I'm gonna go make the money so I can go back
Come on.
and build my community
Right.
instead of being in a position of me trying to get out of my community.
Man,
Right. So that's the formula that we need to shift.
Tom Burrell, Brainwashed. That book changed my life.
Yeah.
It, like to your point, it made me understand why when I was deemed special as an athlete, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was conditioned to get out and not come back.
Right.
I was conditioned to get out and come back, not come back because why? If you go back, you got the these are the dudes I grew up with.
Right.
Now they consider bad people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You don't want the people to bring you back. That's what they consider that. And I was just like, man, it just blew my mind. So I'm telling you, that Tom Burrell, Brainwash,
Read that book.
read that book, man,
Right.
because you get to understand exactly the formula in which that's out there. I would put
Right.
it like that. That's
Right.
out there. That coaches, players, and athletes to get out and never come back.
And never come back, man. And that formula is hurt us tremendously because what we have, what we don't realize
It's
is
taking our best and brightest away.
best and brightest away, and the assets that we do have, the houses where our communities sit, have the best locations. Right.
That's what regentification, right?
Right. But because we don't have any stakeholdership into it,
Mhm.
we end up losing out, right? And we get
Mhm.
mad that
Right.
somebody else sees value in
Right.
what we didn't see value in.
Right.
Right.
Right. Now there's a lot of other layers that come down to it. But at the end of the day, I think part of when it comes to defining generational wealth, we have to make sure that we're changing the narrative to the formula so that we can get to where we need to get to in order to build it. We don't want to just be, because we got a lot of people that are out there selling the real estate, but we don't want to just sell the real estate. We need to develop. You know?
That's where the
Yeah.
money is. The money
Yeah.
is in development.
Right.
And this is coming from somebody who owns real estate.
Right.
You know, so I'm looking like, man, like this is when we had spoke about that a while back, I was like, man, that's not, you know, even though we do this, you know, I mean, we do well, but is that where I am? Right? Is that the
Right.
game? Right?
Right.
That's not my game.
Right.
You know, that's my wife's game. My wife, she's big into real estate. That's what she does. I support her in that. And I tell her all the time, I said, baby, that's your game.
Right.
Mhm.
My game, I'm a money guy.
Right.
Right? I understand the game of commerce.
Right.
That's where I am. So yes, you can play here, but if you were talking about real money,
Right. We gotta get
it's in development, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
we talking about developing whole communities. That's where the money is, right?
Right.
But we play too small
right.
because
right.
we're taught to play small.
Play too small, man.
We
Play
celebrate
too
the
small.
crumbs, right?
Celebrating the crumbs.
Celebrate the crumbs.
Celebrating the
Yeah,
crumbs. And
right.
so with that being said, I think that is a good way to kind of end this off. I think that's going to be one of our next things that we talk about is the celebrating the crumbs.
Mm.
You know, because that is part of our narrative and what we get a part of.
Right.
And so I just want to say to you, brothers, I appreciate y'all's transparency. I appreciate y'all joining in
No doubt.
on this conversation. Everybody continue to listen out to us, join in the conversation, not only in the chats, but join in the conversations with people that you are around and with. Share this podcast with people so that we can continue to grow the conversation out there, because we need to have this conversation more.
Hey,
All right, we need to
listen,
define.
I want to pose a question. What are the pain points?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So we're giving this information freely, right?
Right.
Right. Because
we don't charge for this.
so
We don't charge for this.
this is our objective. We prefer to make money with you instead of off
Offer you. Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Right. We understand we have so many talented individuals that just need to partner with.
That's it.
And we're looking to partner with great individuals. This is not about, us coming out of pocket or getting in your pocket. It's more about us coming together, right? That Voltron mindset.
Right.
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 We gonna show you how to get to I ain't gonna say the bad because I hate that. I mean, and the reason why I hate that is because
No, we getting to the bank.
yes, that's where I was going. That's why you stole my words.
Oh, my bad. My bad. My bad.
I don't want to say that.
Don't call me a vulture.
Yeah. But we want to get to the bank, man, and that's where things are. If this information that we're giving is not for, like I said, it's not for everybody.
It's not for everybody.
It's not for everybody.
It's fine too.
And
It's fine too. It's fine too.
And that's
fine.
fine. But we know that it's for. We know exactly who it's for. We know exactly who we're talking to. And so with that, we don't get it. We don't sell this information. We're not selling this. We're not making money off of you. We're not charging people to come from no class.
That's not our business model.
That's not our business, because that's not what we make our money.
Right.
We make our money doing what we do.
Right.
We're money guys. You know, we in the commerce game, right? So we're not making money off of you attending anything that we do. We're not making money off of you even. We're not even selling subscriptions to anything.
Right.
We just really, in our spirit, we are helpers.
Right.
We just want to help.
Service.
You know what I'm saying? We want to help people.
Faith, hope, and charity.
Right? And if anybody, people who know me, they'll tell you I've always been the person that want to see my whole entire circle elevate.
Right.
I didn't want to be the only one. If I'm the only one, I'm doing something wrong.
I tell you,
Doing something wrong.
success is isolating. It would be more impactful if everyone that's associated with us is at a level where they can turn around and do the exact same thing.
Absolutely.
Right. That's the synergy, right? That's coming together. You know, there are a lot of business models that are antiquated. There's a lot of thinking that's antiquated. We are disruptors.
Right.
We
Absolutely.
are disruptors.
And I had to get very comfortable with knowing that that's just who I am.
Right.
Because that's what we gonna do. We gonna continue to disrupt.
Right.
Right. And so that's what it's gonna take, especially when we're talking about shifting the mindset in black business. And so that's where we're heading, guys. If you're gonna continue to listen out, follow us. We're going to be on Instagram. We're going to be on Facebook, YouTube, and all the other major channels where you can consume podcasts.
We got a young cat coming, though.
Yeah,
we got a young cat, man.
We
Listen, we got a young cat coming. We ain't gonna even let nobody. You know, we surrounding this cat, man.
Yeah, we
this cat, man, is a brilliant young man.
Right, definitely.
He got his head on his shoulder. I wish I was like him at 20.
Right.
I was too much into a lot of other things.
Yeah, we ain't gonna get into the mother thing.
Yeah, I said don't get into
No.
I was too focused on the other things. You know?
And we really started asking, who are you?
Yeah. B-Dot. But listen, man, this young man, he has his own platform. He's creating his own deal, you know, and we want to support him in that. And he has a solid platform. And we go push that.
Right.
We want our information, our stuff on that platform.
Right.
And we're going to push that.
Right.
So look out for that too. And we're gonna bring the young cat up next, probably the next episode or so.
Yeah.
And we want to introduce him to the world, man, because this young cat got something, man.
Right.
Idris Sandu is out there, and we got ours over here too.
Already.
And we gonna find a way to gain these brothers together.
Yeah.
Because these two guys coming together, man, they can do some powerful things, man.
Powerful things, guys. All right, well, we appreciate it, man. Spider-Man, bring us on out, man. We
on
appreciate it.
All right.
We see
All right.
y'all.
Yes,
I
sir.
appreciate it.
So Mo the B.